Hey guys, welcome back. This week we've been talking a little bit about going big and what does that look like? What does it mean to have a huge goal, something that just drives you forward? But a couple of fun things happened yesterday and kind of reminded me that going deeper is probably the best way to going bigger. So my son, everybody who knows me is going to get sick of me talking about my kids, but we've been car shopping because he graduated college in the spring, and he's been working really hard for a couple years. He's had a great internship. He's a financial advisor, and he's accomplished some pretty big things. It's actually been kind of stunning to watch him go through this process. Being one of the top 20 or 25 interns in the number one internship program in the world for the last 20 years running, out of thousands of young people. Then in his first 6 months of full-time work, he accomplished something by being in the top five in his region against people who have been in the industry for years and years and years. And along the way, he's taking a lot of pride in those accomplishments. And as a father, I'm right there with him. I'm happy for him. But in the back of your mind, you just know that things don't make people happy. But right now, this journey is making him happy because it's not the things that we do or the things we can generate or accomplish, it's what they represent. So for him right now, as a young man, I share part of his brain and I know where he is. It's the fact that he wants to prove that he belongs to this industry, that he made this big decision, a life decision to be in this industry. And he wants to feel like he belongs. He's got a supervisor, he's got a boss, he's got all these people around him, colleagues, peers. He has clients that are depending on him to make the right decision. So it's not that he's accomplishing something, it's that he feels validated. He feels like his decisions have been the right ones and that he's doing the right things to make that journey go in the direction he wants. And so interestingly, after we got home from doing some car shopping and he's making some good decisions, being very diligent and responsible, I found that my grades from last semester were in. And so what do? As the guy who shares that brain, I immediately go in there because I've got to make sure I got that A. And why? Why is that important to me? For the exact same reason. Not because I can say, hey, look at me, I'm fucking amazing, I'm so smart. It's that it represents that I worked hard, that I wanted to assimilate that knowledge, I wanted to be part of that tribe, that group that was in this together, and I did my part. That's just part of that validation and belonging and connection, all of those psychological needs we all have. So, interestingly, in the particular course I took this semester, it was by Dr. Carrasco, who is just a phenomenal guy, brilliant on so many levels, but the course was called Religious Dimensions in Human Experience. And he made it very clear when we started this course that this is not a theology class, this is not a world religion survey, it's about the human experience. He said, you guys are all social psychology students, anthropology students, I'm in the divinity school here. This is not what you guys do. Some of you, maybe it is. But no matter what we could debate and parse apart and try and convince each other of certain things, that's not what it's about. It's about the individual human experience. And it was a very, very interesting, great course. And that kind of ties into some of the things I've been after personally in the last few years of just trying to dig deep. And this morning I was taking some books off my bookshelf at home that I've read and want to bring them back into my library here. And I categorize my study kind of shelf by shelf like a librarian, topically and so forth, because I'm that guy. And so I wanted to show you just a little representation of one particular shelf that seems to be growing at a faster pace than other ones. It's my pursuit in the last 3 or 4 years of really digging a little bit further into what does it mean to be human. We can talk about that in terms of existentialism. We try and go through paths of religion or philosophy or just sticking our head in the sand and ignoring it. That's one way. But I think as people come back to this, what we're really looking for is that same sense of validation. Am I living a life that I'm going to be happy with. Not only externally from what I kind of leave behind and what people see in me, but am I truly going to be happy? I remember just from the time I was a kid, somebody said something about, when you're lying on your deathbed, are you going to be happy about this or this or this? What's going to mean most to you? And some of those things really stuck with me. And as I've sought these things to just integrate into my life, I know one common theme has been, the big questions, why, and what does it mean, and so forth. And I think I've, kind of vacillated between looking for an ultimate purpose and then the philosophy of just absurdism, which is more naturalistic and so forth. But no matter where you come down, you still have this life. I mean, this is in your body. It's going to be over at some point, and whether you believe something else happens or not, I think we can all agree that understanding ourselves and what we're going through is probably the biggest thing we could do. It kind of has to be settled on some level. I heard several years ago that, of course, America is the most depressed country in the world, the least happy. We have by far the most drug use when it comes to antidepressants, anti-anxiety, that kind of thing. And at some point, several years ago, they came out with a list and said the Nordic states, Norway, those countries were the happiest when we were the least. And it was interesting to me. I laughed actually when I heard that the reason is they have the lowest expectations. And on the surface, that sounds funny, right? Like, don't be ambitious, just sit around and expect nothing and you'll be happy. But in reality, what we've found since in research, when we look at things like contentment and even income, there is a level where when you have enough, then you're happy. More than that does not make you happier, but less than that certainly matters. And some of that comes down to income equality and the gapping that we see, where so many people have all of this and so many people have nothing. When people are closer together and expectations are more normalized, that's a factor to consider in sociology. But in your own personal life, I keep coming back to the same thing. When I read some of the philosophers and so forth, they talked about the same thing. Even the first law of Buddhism is that if you want to look at somebody's happiness, look at their cravings. If they crave too much, then they're probably not going to be happy. Some of the Stoic philosophers pinpointed that same thing. And this is my question for you guys, because I certainly don't have it figured out. I'm somebody who, as my son, I mentioned, likes the experience. I like to go forward. I like to climb that next mountain and see what's over there. And it's not necessarily for the sense of just accomplishing things. I'm truly just not very motivated by money and things like that, things of materialistic nature, but I like the experience. So ambition, thinking big, going for it, is that bad, or can it get out of balance in one direction? Can contentment and just saying, well, I guess I shouldn't expect anything, that I don't think obviously is the way to go. So balance, again, is a word I just don't like to use, but how do we know that when we're going for something with a lot of zeal and it's very meaningful to us, that we can still be happy and content along the way? That's going to be my question to you guys in a couple different ways going through this. But I think that's a huge part of our journey, is just understanding that we should always go for the great things in life, but along the way we still have to make sure that we're very, very happy with that trajectory. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time.